in this world.
Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, the lovely Leah and Michelle. That's lovely Leah, not lovely Michelle.
Those hoop earrings are so big, I could just jump through it.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
It's
who's
the
jumping through?
size of a hula hoop.
It is. So today is Friday the 13th.
Flynn, right now. Motion to compel Brady material unsealed. Flynn took polygraph in 2016 and passed. Flynn could get out of this thing.
I'm so praying for that.
His new attorney, Sidney Powell, is not going to. I could play some of the other people's analysis, but I watched their analysis, so I'm going to tell you the analysis. Flynn went before the judge this week. Mm-hmm. And the judge was actually, from what I understand, compassionate and sympathetic to Flynn's cause. Now, that he after hearing a lot from the defense attorney Sidney Powell, he kept asking him, "Why do you want to change your plea? Do you want to change your plea to not guilty? Because it's shown that he did not lie to the FBI."
Thank you, Jesus.
Okay.
Is he going to change it?
No, and here's why.
Okay.
You look like you're confused. You're not confused because the reason Sidney Powell was bringing up all these other things that supposedly they would charge him with. He took a plea agreement.
Okay.
He took a plea agreement to the least charge. Now, they were saying that they could try him almost for treason. Well, treason would be life imprisonment or, death. You know what I mean? So, exactly. I'll take the light sentence as my fallback for lying to the FBI.
Right.
Versus if he doesn't take his plea, then they can go after his family. They can go after everything. And so it's his insurance policy.
Sure.
And he knows he didn't lie. And the judge knows he didn't lie. Okay? So where is all this going, basically? So former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's defense attorney filed a motion Wednesday to compel the government to turn over a trove of documents, recordings, internal texts, emails, and notes that the defense believes will vindicate Flynn, while at the same time revealing the egregious behavior of the government prosecutors. Defense attorney Sidney Powell filed the motion unsealed to the U.S. District Court Judge Emmett Sullivan on Wednesday. The motion was originally filed on August 30th and is requesting that the court compel the government to deliver the Brady material. Brady material is pursuant to Brady material is if you have exculpatory evidence against the person that you're trying to indict or prosecute, you have to give them exculpatory evidence
so that they have a chance to mount their own defense.
Exactly. And that's a law. Okay. The motion also reveals that Flynn took a polygraph in 2016, passed the exam, and has a security clearance renewed despite former director of National Intelligence and National Intelligence James Clapper's refusal to assist in the investigation or renewal process for Flynn's clearance, Powell said. It occurred at roughly the same time the government was continuing to investigate him. It also reveals that he had briefed the Defense Intelligence Agency prior to meeting with Turkish and Russian officials. That was another thing that they were trying to get him on. Okay, he'd actually told intelligence, "I'm meeting with these officials." However, the prosecutors are still hiding all the exculpatory evidence, which shows the details of his workings with the DIA prior to his meetings with any foreign contacts. Flynn, who was previously director of the DIA, had briefed his former agency since he resigned in 2014. Yet again, in the status report filed today, the prosecutors exude arrogance in their flat denials of both our requests for security clearances and the production of Brady material, argued Powell in her motion. Production of obvious Brady material while repeatedly and stoutly denying any such material exists. Now, this is Flynn saying, "Hey, I had a security clearance. Hey, I passed that polygraph." And his lawyer's like, "Well, I need proof of that. Like, I need proof of that to mount your defense." And so she's going to the FBI, like, "I need this proof." And they're like, "Doesn't exist. Wow. Right? So this is the stonewalling that's happening. Like, these guys in the FBI right now are total, complete Hoover crooks, right? So production of obvious Brady material while repeatedly and stoutly denying any material such exists prompts questions of how much more is still outstanding and whether these prosecutors are willing or able to recognize it when they see it. The only alternative explanation is even worse. Powell's motion to compel the production of Brady material and for an order to show cause also reveals insight into Flynn's case and what the retired Army general has endured over the past several years during the special counsel's investigation. According to Powell's motion, prosecutors who early contended there was no Brady material ended up producing last week an additional 330 pages that included information that any reasonable attorney would understand as Brady evidence. In light of special counsel's investigation and assertions that Mr. Flynn was an undisclosed agent of Russia or an agent of Turkey. That's what they're also trying to get him on, right?
Right.
Those are the things that they're like, oh, well, we'll just pass those charges over. You plead to this that you know you didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
That production also shows that Mr. Flynn passed his polygraph test in 2016 and his security clearance was renewed. This was at the same time the FBI seems to have been investigating him under the pretext that he was an agent of Russia or of Turkey. Interestingly, the new production also shows that James Clapper refused. We talked about that. Powell revealed in court Tuesday the existence of Justice Department memo from January 30th, 2017 that she says exonerates Flynn of any collusion with Russia. The memo, which has still not been made available to Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, is part of a litany of Brady materials she is demanding from the prosecutors. The memo is currently under protective order, and Powell is working with prosecutors to get it disclosed. Sullivan set a tentative December 18th sentencing so the judge set a tentative date of December 18th for Flynn. He told the prosecution and the defense that the sentencing date could be moved depending on the outcomes of requests for Brady material requested by Powell. Flynn doesn't want to go to a jury trial, and that would be if he doesn't take a plea, then he's going to a trial. That could be really long. And then here is the list of Brady material requested by Powell. A letter delivered by the British embassy to the incoming national security team after Donald Trump's election and the outgoing national security advisor Susan Rice. And there's a lot here. This is from Sarah Carter, so I'm not going to read it all, but so what Sidney Powell is hoping is that through all of this, that it gets dismissed. And best case scenario, this is what I am praying for, is that Flynn is exonerated.
Yes.
Shown to have been set up.
Yes.
And becomes national security advisor or some other position within the Trump administration.
Yes. You know, Trump really liked Flynn. He really liked Flynn. Flynn was one of the only guys in there that was going to be able to help him.
So this week, Trump was going to meet with the Taliban at Camp David, and that fell apart because everybody was like, oh my gosh, you can't have the Taliban over. Trump wants to get us out of Afghanistan right now. And while I do believe that that might have been a move too far, I do believe that you can just leave Afghanistan without actually meeting and having any deal with the Taliban.
Right.
They're just the Taliban. The Taliban.
Do you have to say that? Do you have to say it like that?
Yeah, they're the Taliban.
It's not Taliban. It's Taliban. Like you're going to
sing
a song.
They are the child molesting, crazy people
they
who
are really
I
awful.
absolutely abhor, and they are evil. So Trump has made a lot of missteps, I believe, national security wise, because he has not had the right people in his place. And I think that General Flynn was like the only guy he had. He had a few guys in there that were doing right. You know, he had Bannon, he had Sebastian Gorka, and he had Flynn.
Right.
And they're all left. Well, Trump got rid of Bannon, and then Gorka was there kind of lone sitting duck. And then all these swamp rats were surrounding around Trump, and it was just a mess. And it is a mess, and it was a mess. And you know, it's kind of it's Trump's having to run his own show now because there's nobody in Washington that is decent, you know, and Flynn was one of those guys. And I say in Washington, I mean people. If you have been a general, then you served under Bush, and you served under Clinton, and you served under Obama, okay, and most likely you were part of the invasion of Iraq. Most likely you were part of the war in Afghanistan. And most likely you were part of a lot of coups that went on around the world. Now, the question is do you see the error in those ways like Flynn did? And I'm not saying that our military only goes by. There is that. Alyssa Milano sat down for a debate with Ted Cruz on guns. It was stupid. I'm not even going to go over it. But she did reveal that she has 2 guns in her home for self-defense. A little bit of a hypocrite there. Can we say hypocrite? Let's see. This week, there was a big win, Republican win, where Dan Bishop was down by like 15, 16 points. Donald Trump went and held a rally in North Carolina, and this guy Bishop held on to a GOP seat that was looking like it was going to go Democrat.
And Trump is like so proud of it. Like he's like tooting his own horn. I went and rallied, and
there was a second seat too that there was voted on, and they both stayed Republican. So that was. I'll do that on Sunday.
We're also probably going to talk about Tommy on Sunday. He was released from Belmarsh Prison. Today. Yes. Britt Bozza keeps trying to get me to talk about that. We're not going to talk about it today, but we will talk about it on Sunday.
Right. California, California and Alabama are the only 2 states that aren't participating in the giant, they're going after Google. 48 of our states are going after Google. 2 of those states are California and Alabama are not. The attorney generals of those 2 states didn't offer much explanation. Let's see, where am I at? So the other ones announced Monday they are investigating Google's advertising practices and whether the search giant has harmed competitors. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is leading the joint inquiry. So we'll see what happens there. But Dr. Robert Epstein says, know why California's Attorney General didn't join the other 50 AGs who just launched an antitrust action against Google? Because California Attorney General has accepted significant campaign contributions from Google, which is headquartered in his state. So, of course, he's not going to go after his very own.
Okay, so, all right. So, earlier you said it may not be the mob or the mafia anymore. I'll tell you who's replaced the mob and the mafia are these big tech giants in bed with politicians to shift and sway the country. So, I want to address something in the chat really quickly. Everybody's talking about where they can find out information on 9/11 and what happened to Building 7. If you can find the information, and you actually can find it,
I don't even know if it's still YouTube
on our. You can. Whoa. You can find Richard Gage on our personal page. It's Richard Gage. Richard Gage is one of the top minds on what happened. I think he's an architect, and we had the honor of listening to and interviewing him at the Red Pill Expo in 2000 and was it 16 or 17 that we went there? 16. And
17.
So anyway, regardless, you can just go to our videos and put in Richard Gage and the speak that he gave at the Red Pill Expo. It's not a very good camera shot, but you can listen to it.
So you still can find him if you Google his
Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth.
You can still find these videos, but they are not.
There are hundreds and hundreds of architects and engineers that have gotten behind questioning what happened on 9/11.
But the craziness of this is that there are millions. They have millions of views, and you're going to see. It's very difficult to Google these things now.
Richard Gage Building 7 is what you put in, and you got a lot of information there. So that's what I would start with, you guys. Richard Gage Building 7, and just go from there.
But it will not autofill, even though people are looking for them.
So you can get lost watching those videos.
Yeah, but you can't now because you can't. They don't autoplay
afterwards, right? All right, you guys. Good job and good night, and we will see you back on Sunday. I was cold.